So my name is Jennifer Pancavage, Jennifer Pancavage, and I am recovering from an eating disorder. So let me say this. If I have to be really honest and look at myself in the mirror and say what caused my eating disorder, I think it would have to be a collection of things. I think it would be number one, I'm a perfectionist. And when you have an eating disorder, everything is heightened. The only way that I could ever describe to someone how I felt was it was like being in a room full of thousands of people and walking across a tightrope and nobody even noticing. That's how insane my life felt. I felt like there was no way out from my own misery and the own hell that I was in. At 22, my life hit a brick wall. I was hospitalized. I was 85 pounds. I was in an extremely unhealthy relationship, and that was my way of dealing with life. I wouldn't eat for days, weeks at a time. When I was hospitalized, I hadn't eaten for 12 weeks straight. I had lost 67 pounds in a matter of 8 weeks. I was yellow. I was jaundiced. As a side effect, when you are anorexic, it sounds really gross, but you strangely start to grow hair in strange places. You also get horrible vitamin deficiencies on your face, or I did at least. And it was scary. It was scary to realize what I actually physically and mentally did to myself. One of the defining moments that I will never forget while I was sick, probably about 2 months before I hit rock bottom, I'll never forget, I was going to work and I looked at him and said, "Oh, I look really skinny, don't I?" And he looked at me and he said to me, "No, I can still see cellulite in the back of your legs." That moment, it became a race. It was a race against myself, how fast I could drop weight. I can remember the day that my family decided that I needed to deal with this issue. It was my mom's 50th birthday, the day before. I have a brother who's 8 years apart. He looked at my mom and said, "I don't know who that girl is, but that's not my sister. My sister is the life of the party, happy-go-lucky, smiling." And I was the girl who was cold, crying in the corner, and couldn't wait to leave. That next day, my family came into my house. They looked at me and said, "You're going away." And like anybody who's ever been in an intense situation, you're in denial, and you go, "Sure, whatever you say, I'm going to do whatever you tell me to," and you yes them to death. And you have your own evil plan in your head of, I'm just going to yes them and they're going to leave me alone. The day I went away, I can remember my mother looking at me and counting my rib cage from the back of me because I looked like I was from Ethiopia. My mother is my best friend, and one of the turning points for me that I had a problem was she looked at me and said, "For the last 22 years, I've never had to worry about you lying to me. You have come home with crazy stories and things that I've gone, oh, that's my kid, but I can't believe a damn thing that comes out of your mouth. Everything you say is a lie to cover up that you're not eating." And for some people, it's this or that, but that was probably one of the biggest eye-openers to see that I really hurt someone that I cared about and I loved. In group therapy, one thing that I can say is that Renfrew opened my eyes is an eating disorder comes in all shapes and sizes, all colors. It is not just your stereotypical girl next door. There is a girl who could be 300 pounds that could be suffering from bulimia or anorexia and you could have no idea, versus a girl who's 85 who's suffering from it. One thing I can say is it was, a competition when you would go in. And you would actually almost, as sick and twisted as this is, you'd get an idea. Oh, well, she did this. I can do that. That'll work really well on me. So at times it could get really clouded, your judgment, and you'd have to remember what you were there for because you could go, well, she used a toothbrush to throw up. Oh, I can do that instead of my finger. Or she did it while somebody was in the shower so that, no one heard her while she was throwing up. One thing that I was infamous for is I always threw up in the middle of the night. I always threw up very privately because I was very ashamed of it. I can remember one of the last times that miserable, wonderful boyfriend that I had and I were together. We were out to dinner, and he turned around. It was me, him, and his roommate. And I really didn't eat much. I had maybe had a bite or two of salad. And he looked at me as if I was a toddler and said, "We are not leaving this restaurant until you eat." So like any girl, I kind of fought him on it. His poor roommate was so uncomfortable, the poor kid. And I fought with him and was like, "I'm fine. I ate earlier." And the lies kind of continued, because that's what you do. That I then got up and I vomited in the bathroom, and he walked in and looked at me and went, "I can't believe you just did that." It was such an embarrassing, mortified, lonely feeling that it's something that I'll never forget for the rest of my life. One thing that I would say that I would definitely, throughout this whole documentary and messages, always count your blessings, because you never really know how blessed you are until something scary happens. And don't think that the girl in the corner, because she doesn't, isn't bubbly or isn't this or isn't that, doesn't mean that there's not more to that story. She's not the weirdo, or because she's skinny, it doesn't mean that, she's not fighting her own demon. They come in all shapes and sizes, and no one asks for it. You don't wake up one day and say, "Oh, I want to try to shatter my life for a couple years. Let's see what I can do." It just kind of took my life over, and it changed me in a positive, because I'm a better person for it. But it was a really, really hard struggle for a couple years.